So welcome to Two Frat Boys. My name is Jesus Diaz. I'm joined by
Anthony Aldaño.
And we have a very special guest that we brought to today's program, Richard Abraham Rugnao. Richard, do you want to give us a quick background on yourself and what you're up to today?
Background, nonprofit, corporate, former sponsor of Tag Latino Greekster, now agency, and consider myself a born again millennial. I'm not even sure where I'm supposed to be looking. I guess the green light here.
Excellent.
Are you going to say born again Christian?
No, I'm born again now. That's why I might be praying for Jesus.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yes.
Excellent. Well,
let's get this party started. What's going on? How you guys been? We got two frat boys making some waves. Happy to see you. Happy to see you all back live
and tag teaming it again.
Tagging, boom.
So we wanted to bring you on, Richard, because and obviously Anthony's had one kid, I've had three, which you know
5.
as well.
And I'm a child, so you guys have adopted me.
There you go. There you
5
go.
children. Yeah.
And just for clarity, we have an audience of about 26 viewers. So
for
those 26 viewers, we are dedicating our time and energy. But we wanted to bring you on today because
that 26 viewers is going to grow after this. It's going to grow to 27. It's going to be amazing.
No, add a 0. Add 2 zeros to the end of that.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. But Richard's been instrumental in our journey for many reasons. You know, do you recall the first time you met either of us, Anthony or myself?
I do. And I regret that day ever since. It was and continues to be a thorn. I get nightmares. And no, I remember meeting you. First of all, I met another colleague of yours, and that prompted conversation.
Frank Valenica.
He then passed me on. This is my former corporate life. Passed me on to you, Jesus, and I think that's when we started to get acquainted and talk. When you were with, when you and Anthony were with Ay Caramba.
Right. Rich, do you remember the initial, like how the connection was made? I recall you were working for Young Brands at the time, and that you were putting an ad in our college magazine.
No.
But a web banner.
No, it was a conversation first. Then it was a conversation with Jesus, I think, on, I don't even know, man. It isn't really, at this point, yeah. What I know is that I was and continue to be a fan. And I felt and still feel that the Latino Greek history, I would say a pending movement, I don't think we've reached full sort of movement status, is still very much inspirational to me. I mean, I didn't grow up in that scene. I'm 100 years old. So, there wasn't, when I was in college, Latino Greeks. And so when I met you and Anthony, it selfishly made me feel like I was kind of back in school, I guess. And so the work that we were able to accomplish, the big ideas, I mean, you guys are big idea people, prompted me to want to do more. But I do remember visiting your office in New York. I remember that. I think once or twice I was there, maybe once, I'm not sure. And and then of course the events that we did in different markets. But I still feel like it's such a, again, I keep saying this and I do nothing about it, but I still feel like it's a untapped opportunity and market. Yeah. I just haven't figured out how to make it happen.
Yeah, and to Richard's credit, I mean, I remember the minute you attended one of our events, one of the Latino Greek step and stroll shows that we were putting on that Young Brands was sponsoring. As soon as you were there, you absolutely felt the kind of the motivation, and
I got saved. I got religion. Yeah.
You knew the audience was digging what we were doing, and you trusted us. I could tell from the start.
Oh, absolutely. I trusted you more than Anthony. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, in all fairness, I mean, we worked very closely, and you came to love Anthony for the thought leadership.
I do love Anthony very much.
So one of my first memories, is of you being in Lehman College for one of our step shows.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Raul was hosting. I think you had brought some of your friends as well.
I did,
from
yeah.
different companies to
Yeah.
take part in it. And I was so happy that you were there. And I think that after that show, you got in my ear directly, because I was still working for Batanga at the time. And you got in my ear directly about, hey, if you guys do something like this, we'll help you. We'll help you get it started. And so for the audience to know, Anthony and I were thinking about starting a company, and Richard was the big driver for the reason we were able to come off the ground with a first client. So
right,
respect goes to.
So just to backtrack for the listeners a little bit. So basically, after Jesus
all 26 of them, 26 or 27.
Right, well, 26 now, but it'll be 2,700 soon.
Oh, it's going to be 2,700 for real.
Yeah. What happened? What ends up happening is that I leave the company, I think, in 2005.
By the way, you're looking super skinny.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Are you working out?
I'm doing everything.
Wow.
Doing keto, acupuncture, jogging.
Nice.
And once I left, Jesus stayed on for a few years, and then once Jesus had left, I got in his ear because I had finished my MBA. Jesus had finished his MBA. And like I said previously, I felt like Superman after I got in my MBA. I thought I could lead, be CEO of, Procter & Gamble. But instead,
you still can.
But instead we did Amaru Group, the Amaru Group. And so we had discussed before that basically Jesus was on the fence. Jesus was like, well, I don't know, in his mind. He really didn't want to jump ship and bootstrap it like we had been. But I just learned this last episode was that you telling him, hey, if you guys launch something on your own, which ends up being Greekster.tv, I will have some dollars for you. And that catapulted Jesus.
You've always been about the money. You don't play around.
Me or Jesus?
You.
Well, I was ready to launch the company with no money, but Jesus wouldn't have joined without your money.
Oh,
from Young Brands. So, right.
Facts.
So Jesus,
Facts.
can you? Yeah.
So like Anthony was saying, I was on the fence, and I remember Richard, you and I.
You and I sat at a bar, by the way, and that's we went to a bar, some bougie bar in New York, because that's how I rolled back then.
Was I there?
You were not there.
Oh,
okay. You were not there.
Oh, you said I only want to meet with Jesus. Anthony,
basically, because Jesus basically just agreed with everything I said.
My daughter wants to say hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hola.
How old is she now?
She is 7. Hold on, I gotta put you on. Okay.
Okay, she needs to follow us. There's our 27 right there. Our 27th.
Now she heard you. This is mi amigo Richard.
Hey, mija, how are you? Hey, mija, how are you?
Oh, it came off again. Speaker. Viola. Okay, she's having dinner.
Okay, good. Hey.
Okay. Hey. Ciao, mom.
Bye, Valentina.
Yeah.
Bye. Adios.
So we had drinks, and that's where I think it started. I think when we had drinks, because you told me you were leaving, Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you cannot leave. What the heck?
Yeah.
And then I think that's when I said, if you do your thing, I will put money aside. Yum doesn't know this. So
I don't.
If Yum was watching, they didn't know this.
Was I aware of this meeting, Jesus? Because I felt like this was like a secret double blinded meeting.
Yeah, you weren't invited. You just get over it.
No, I'm sure. That's obvious.
I don't think the meeting wasn't intended to like talk that level of business. I think it was more to connect and just let Richard know I was thinking about moving on. And he surprised me.
But me and you had spoken already, right?
Oh my God, Anthony! Yes, you were always in the mix.
Yes, dude. I was in. Yeah, absolutely. But
we're losing listeners as we speak. We're now down to 22.
Right.
But Richard introduced the idea, and I was like, oh man, that's all I need to know. I was just like, now we can get off the ground with some level of financial capacity to do something, and I'm in all seriousness, I really believe you two are just super creative and innovative, and you guys vibe in your own sort of lanes, which makes you as a unit, as a team,
beautifully special. And I mean, again, I just turned 50 last year, so I can again consider myself a born again millennial. So I'm ready to. I've said this many thousand times, but I'm ready to do this all over again if we need to. Knock on some doors, collect bottles, collect cans. Let's up level this, because I think ultimately also, let's look at where young. By the way, do y'all subscribe to the term Latinx? Have y'all got into that yet?
I personally do not subscribe to
so
that.
let's just say it's Latinos. I think it's still, especially here on the West Coast, I don't hear Latino Greek sorority fraternity as much, obviously, as I did and do on the East Side. And they're sort of up leveling alum like you all, to show, to create this really dope ecosystem of influencers who, no matter wherever they are always going to rep their letters, and I think, I don't know, I just feel like we're still on, I think it's still untapped and it's still missing. I'll tell you, on my list of things I want to accomplish before I die, that's how you know you're getting old when you start talking about when I die. This remains one of them.
So last week in our last episode, the person we interviewed was Diana Romaguera, which she worked with us and also interned with us. And she's younger than us, so she's actually affiliated still with her sorority, and is actually the first paid officer of her Lambda Theta Alpha sorority. So she does that and also her, regular full-time job. But anyway, the point is that she was telling us that like the state of Greekhood in the country is kind of diminished, has kind of diminished from what she sees. And there's a lot of sentiment of anti-Greek because of the exclusionary aspect of the organization.
Interesting.
They exclude women, they exclude men. And
is that Latino or just Greek in general?
Oh, I think Greek in general.
Oh, gotcha.
And then basically, from what she was telling us is that there really isn't anyone in the space still that focuses exclusively or just focuses at all on the Greek side and college. So,
but yet on the African American side, obviously with legacy and history, it's still, I see it moving. I see it shaping. I see,
right. And even when we were together, and you and I and Jesus worked together, the difference there is that there's hundreds of years of more history.
Totally get it. Yeah.
Black African Americans in college, and also the national population, and then also sponsors just being more comfortable always with giving specific dollars to African American. Period.
And I think it's because they, my point of view is when I see those, and we had a situation, you might recall, I'm not sure if it was you, Anthony, or Jesus, where we reached out to a company. They're like, oh, we don't want to get involved because there was alcohol involved or something like that. And yet, I did a Google search and I saw that company, different contact, sponsoring a Black fraternity something after party, and of course, and so I thought that was interesting to me,
it's hypocritical, but
right. And I think that I think that what I'm hearing is we collectively and our 27, 26 viewers have an opportunity to reimagine Latino Greek. So if what we're hearing is that Greek life generally across the system, across the board is diminishing, then we have an opportunity to up level it, particularly from a cultural standpoint. So.
Well, let me, and Anthony, thanks for bringing that up, because I think Richard's got a great lens on this. Because one of the other dimensions of the changes that our former, coworker and now employee of the organization mentioned is that at the college level today, there's an anti-Greek push as well. So, going beyond the exclusion stuff, there's also the idea that we don't need to allocate 10 weeks of our time to join a social organization that might create some complexity in my life, because it is a difficult process to get into an organization like that. It's almost like a semi-militant process that you go through to join the organization for 10 weeks. And a lot of that will kind of result in lawsuits, result in discomfort to millennials who maybe have enjoyed comfort, a comfortable kind of experience. So there's an anti-Greek versus a pro-Greek, whereas like our generation, you're either pro-Greek or you're not Greek. But now it's like you're either pro-Greek or you're anti-Greek because of just the dynamics of the US and the world, so
well,
so I
now
don't
we
know.
also have other dimensions of identity. So there's non-binary,
Yes.
there's what have you,
Yes.
pronouns,
Yes.
and so again, going back to the reimagining Latino Greek, I think it's a big opportunity because one, at the end of the day, it's rooted in culture. Now that also has some nuance, but I'll tell you, when I'm doing a project now for a client and researching, young storytellers, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. And so what I'm saying is I think that there's still an opportunity to birth emerging leaders through.
Not seeing what, Richard? Sorry, I'm not. And you said you're not seeing
I'm
what?
not seeing.
Exactly.
I'm not seeing the level of. I'm not seeing the numbers. I'm not seeing the numbers of. Let me back up. I'm seeing more young people, basically, kind of in that same note of immigration, dreamers, which is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not seeing two frat boys launch a business. I'm seeing, and so again, I think there's an opportunity centered around leadership, however that's defined, around a different level of engagement, however that's defined, to fully, truly up level, I think, us in many different areas. I still find us kind of in that same lane universally, I'm the first Latino. Okay, well, join the club because there's a lot of us in the mix, so you won't be the first. So you won't feel like you're the first. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed.
If
you trying to push us along?
If I could jump in, I think after not at all. After listening to both of you guys, what comes to me, what comes to my mind, I think, is that the opportunity, and it just again entered my brain, is that I see the opportunity really is, yes, we've always done college and we did it well when we were doing it, but I think the opportunity actually the Latino Greeks that have graduated, basically alumni,
totally.
like us, that are in our age range. I think the real opportunity to either market, create events, I think that is the real opportunity, because they have money, they have jobs, they have families, they have discretionary income. Like Jesus is a perfect example, upwardly mobile, picked up his family and, took him to Australia, and he's working remotely from Australia. The pandemic did nothing to his income. His income went up when the pandemic hit. So, you know what I'm saying? He's actually he's laughing, but I speak facts. Numbers lie, women lie. No, sorry. Children lie, women lie. Numbers do not lie.
I lie about my weight. Let me just say this. I think there's also two parallel tracks though. So the two don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I think,
agreed.
In my mind, one can't live without the other.
I agreed, but you have the people that are alumni got more money to spend right now, and I think that's the real kids in college are great.
And maybe it's not about the money though. Maybe it's about impact. So let's take the money aside. There's an opportunity for the alum to also create greater, broader impact, and ultimately to create an ecosystem where they work together. So the alum are working together, which is that's something that I see on the Black side all day.
I'm just trying to do ching ching. I'm just trying to rub,
clearly.
I'm just trying to bring this, what I'm saying? Clearly. Talk is great, but without this, we got nothing.
I don't think that's a true story either, because I think look right now what you guys have done just by Zoom. We don't need
let's let Jesus jump in. Jesus, cover all these bases, please. Connect.
I like where this conversation is going, and I think Richard always encouraged us to see it from space. I'll never forget, you put that idea in my head. There was one time we were talking about an idea, and it wasn't big enough, and I was thinking it was big enough, and Richard's like, I can't see it from space, and I was just like, oh, okay. So that's how he's looking at it, and he made me really kind of step outside. So I think this conversation that we're having, yes, we're talking about different lanes, but I think if we step back somehow,
It's still but it's still on the same highway. We're on that
Yeah.
highway,
Listen,
right? It's just
I love
different-
going to
different lanes.
space.
Yeah.
I love going to space. But we need to fuel the rocket ship with fuel. And how do you pay for the fuel?
But you also
You
need
need
people.
money
You
for the
also
fuel.
need people
Got
to
it.
build the rocket. So you can't just take lift off and then you have people to build the rocket. You got to build the rocket. You got to have the infrastructure. You got to have obviously the dollars to then you can go to space. But until then, we're still on the ground. Using your
love it.
analogy.
Okay,
That's
we're
what
talking in circles
26
here.
years.
Let's
No, we're not
let's,
talking in circles. No, we're not. You just don't want to hear it.
all this circular logic is awesome, but let's move it forward.
Yeah,
Where
so-
are we, Jesus? Keep us
Yeah,
on
no,
track.
I think I wanted to hear from Richard, because this has been kind of documenting our history in order to kind of take us into where we're going. We still don't know yet where that end goal is or where that flag is we're heading towards. We just
It's on a
know
rocket.
that,
Apparently, it's in a rocket.
yeah, we're building the rocket right now. And so
Good.
you have always been instrumental in our development, like whether it was funding our step shows early before anyone else understood it, to helping us
Early
launch
seed
our
money,
business.
early seed
Yeah.
capital in the step game.
So yeah, no, I mean, I would love to hear from you, like any memories or any kind of high points that you experienced through our events, attending, maybe interacting with the teams, the people involved. Like, do you have any good memories or recollections?
I remember, I vividly remember every step or every stroll show feeling like I shouldn't be the only one experiencing this within my generation or my colleagues. I felt fully energized to see young people just enjoying themselves, living a college life without having to, infuse other extracurricular activity, so to speak.
Yeah.
And not downplaying that, but that Anthony and we did an event in LA. Remember that, Anthony? It was at the junior college in
ELAC, East Los Angeles.
I forget how many, 800, 700, but it was a Saturday afternoon and the students still showed up. Not a huge, massive number when you look at what companies are looking at, in order to, kind of highlight their brand. But you had 600, 700 people, young people show up on a Saturday to rep. That's amazing to me. And that to me says that there's a network of young people that want to be connected. It's a universal need. Everyone wants to be valued, connected, and part of a community universally. You pick what was relevant to you. So that's what I walked away with. We did an event in Long Beach. Remember that, the one in Long Beach? And I thought, where the heck are we? And all of these people, these young people, just started showing up, and it was just amazing. And so that's why I feel like it's still a huge missed opportunity. I remember feeling like I've missed out. I felt like I missed out on a cool college experience because it didn't exist when I was in school. Yeah. And so that to me, that's super inspirational.